We welcome you in once again to the GSC Cross Country Championships for 2023 in the Rocket City of Huntsville. As we appreciate you for joining us on Flow Sports wherever you are watching us from. James Hardy with you, a little bit under the weather today, but we're going to bang things out. And speaking of banging things out, the women's portion of the GSC Championship is underway, and we'd like to also welcome in Hunter Nails to the broadcast, a former member at the UAH Cross Country squad with the Chargers here in Huntsville. First off, Hunter, welcome and a good morning on this championship Saturday.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. Excited to see some fast racing here at John Hunt.
Oh, and as you know, obviously when it comes to a championship weekend, especially late in the season, always one of the most exciting parts of a season, no matter what sport you're talking about.
Absolutely. Here at John Hunt, it's known for a fast course, and we've got a highly competitive field in both races, and I'm excited to see what happens.
And, of course, when you talk about Huntsville, it is now the largest city in the state of Alabama, one of the at least most booming metro areas when it comes to the entire southeast as well, and just an absolutely gorgeous part of the state of Alabama. Lee University took both the men's and the women's cross-country championship for the GSC in 2022, so at least the women right now, at least coming into this weekend, favor to repeat on the women's side this year.
I think so. The Lee Flames have had a very strong season following in the national rankings. They're up there pretty high, so I would say they are the favorite.
So as far as what you're looking for, Hunter, for the women's race, what are kind of some of the things or maybe some of the teams and individuals to watch for that you're looking for in this race?
You know, I think on the team side, Lee's had a very strong season. All throughout, they've been ranked fairly high in the national polls. I'm interested to see how that teamwork plays out. I know there are certain strategies where I want my team to work together early on, maybe save some energy for that second half. And then sometimes it's, no, we've got the talent. Let's use it. Let's hit it hard, hit it fast. So I'm interested to see how that plays out for the Lee Flames.
And, in fact, let's go ahead. Speaking of John Hunt Park, let's go ahead and take a look at the course map that these participants will be competing with. It'll be the 5K for the women, and then later on the 8K as far as the gentlemen when it comes to the 2023 Cross Country Championship. Basically, we're right along Memorial Parkway, just a little bit south and west of downtown Huntsville, as we're just underway for Championship Saturday here at the GSC Cross Country Championships. An absolutely gorgeous morning here in Huntsville. Upper 40s as far as our game time conditions, 48 degrees, sunny skies. And by the time the award ceremony rolls around later this morning, we should have temperatures somewhere close to 60 degrees. So one of the best weather days so far in the 2023 really calendar year, but also especially in the fall, at least early portion of fall here in the Deep South.
Absolutely. So right now they're on that stretch right by Memorial Parkway. Should be coming up to that 1K split. I believe that sign she just ran past was that 1K. So we're 20% of the way there for the leaders.
Talk about as far as when it comes to these individuals, as far as performing at their best, what do they need to do, especially in a championship setting with a lot on the line for them individually and their teams? What do they need to do as far as reaching their peak today?
So to answer that question, it really probably started a week or two ago as coaches start tapering off their training, ramping up the intensity, maybe dropping the volume, playing with that taper as we come into the championship season, making sure they're fresher and just feel fast today. Towing the line, it is about, who's the fittest, but it's also that mental edge. Mental edge is a huge part of this sport. So keeping those athletes confident as they come into today. Good workouts, they're feeling good, they're feeling healthy, and that's really what it takes. So the coaches, I'm sure in their pre-race speeches were firing up their athletes. It's go time. You've got 5K to make some magic happen.
Now the Lee University Flames have won the last 6 team titles when it comes to this GSC Cross Country Championship on the women's side. And as far as maybe a couple of players to watch, Aria Hawkins and Lily Hare. And as far as Hawkins, she's been a 3-time runner of the week selection and also has 2 of the fastest 5K times in the Gulf South Conference so far this year.
Absolutely. You talk about, you said, 6 years in a row? That's some domination from Lee Flames. So I'm real excited. And you see here, I believe that's her. I wish we could get that bib number. But I believe that's her up front, and she's already got a sizable lead. We see at least one Lee athlete pulling away, and they should be coming up to the mile shortly.
And then Lily Hare, also a 2-time all-conference selection in her career, and has the 3rd best 5K time in the Gulf South Conference so far this season. And obviously, Hunter, when you talk about a program like Lee that you just kind of talked about as far as the standard that they've set here in the GSC, in a lot of ways you're not only just competing against the other teams and individuals that they have as far as this field, but also you're kind of competing against yourself as far as being able to maintain the standard that they've set for almost the last decade.
Absolutely. And there's a lot on the line too when you talk about that. For instance, this course is known to be pretty fast. People set PRs here. So if I'm Aria, I'm thinking of I could get the school record here today. I could set, a conference record here today. This is a fast course, and I'm making every effort to set those records and go that extra mile. So I'm real excited to see those results.
I'm curious what makes a course fast.
So this there's a lot of things that play out. We look around here, and it's fairly flat. We'll have one incline in the last mile, and we've got a small incline in the middle mile that is just gradually sloping up. But really, I think what makes this course stand out amongst others is it's got very gentle turns that allows the tangents to be ran properly. And, just look at this grass. This is not your standard cross-country field grass. This is almost golf course-like, and that allows the athlete spikes to get excellent grip with minimal friction. They're not digging into the deep grass and wasting energy there. It's a manicured surface for fast times, and I think those are the 2 things that really make John Hunt stand out.
About the halfway point as far as our 5K championship for the GSC women's teams. Also taking a look as far as some other runners to watch today. Bree Bell from Mississippi College broke 17 minutes 50 seconds in the 5K twice this season, and also the winner at the Missouri Southern Stampede back right in the middle of September. And also Chloe Rook for West Florida, 2-time GSC Runner of the Week so far this year.
Absolutely. And as we see here through the live report, too, the 2K split, most of the athletes have hit the 2K split. We've got an early team ranking for us. So at 2K, Lee is in the lead with 22 points, a very low score for this competitive of a meet. Second, Mississippi College is at 48 points, and third, Alabama Huntsville at 89. So it's shaking up, about how we expected, but a lot can happen in these last 3K.
And even for these teams that maybe don't go on and get the top spot, there's still a couple of other, as far as qualifying spots out of this GSC championship, as the top 3 teams from each regional meet will automatically advance to the NCAA finals. 10 at-large teams will be selected by the NCAA Division II Cross Country Committee to compete in the 34-team field. So still a lot to play for as far as all of these teams here in Huntsville today. James Hardy, Hunter Nails, as we appreciate you for joining us wherever you are watching us from on this Saturday morning breakfast with the Gulf South Conference Cross Country Championships. And as Hunter mentioned, Lee University still pacing the field as a team as they're looking for their 7th consecutive women's cross-country championship.
Absolutely. And as we see here, the athletes, they're working this middle mile. While the middle mile is mostly flat, we do have a little bit of elevation gain. So it's real easy when you enter this middle one to kind of come off the gas mentally. You think it's flat, but it's not flat. You're actually working up a gentle incline. So athletes remaining focused and really pushing through, holding that pace, passing their competitors. This is the mile that can really make or break you mentally.
And there you see still a wide lead for the Lee University Flames, both individually and as a team. And I believe that's Aria Hawkins that's at least setting the tone as far as this women's championship individually.
It absolutely, I believe that is her too. She came through 2K in 6 minutes and 44 seconds, having a gap on the field of about 9 seconds. And here we see that it actually has pulled up. So there's that 2K split.
Aria Hawkins and Liza Kellerman so far. 1-2 as far as Lee University individually.
Yeah, and looking at this, top 5 here score, and Lee's fifth person's in 8th. So that's a very, they're so close to a perfect score. I'm not sure they'll find that today. I believe the other schools are going to have something to say about that. But
and by the way, the top 2 individuals not a part of a qualifying team will automatically advance to the NCAA Division II Championship. All individuals who finish in the top 5 at the regional meet and are not part of a qualifying team will automatically advance to the NCAA Championship. And the Division II Finals will be in Joplin, Missouri on November the 18th.
All right, so here we see the middle straightaway, one of the middle straightaways here. They're coming up. They're leaving that last mile, getting geared up for the big hill. This is last climb. So as we see, here's the 4-mile mark for the boys race. We're not worried about that right now, but they're going to come around this big kind of horseshoe curve, and then it's a solid climb for 300 meters up to the top of this big hill at John Hunt.
So we're past the halfway point as far as our leaders when it comes to this 2023 Gulf South Conference Championship here in Huntsville. And once again, a look at our leaderboard. Still Hawkins and Kellerman for Lee, 1-2. And then Mississippi College so far with a rock-solid showing. Jasmine Hernandez and Bree Bell, 3-4. And then Danielle Horter, number 5. So you got 3 of the top 5 runners right now belonging to the Lee Flames.
Absolutely. And we've got looks like Emily McMurray from UAH. She's holding 7th place. The lone charger in this top 15 field at the moment. At least that was the 2K split, but here we are a little bit later in the race, so those rankings may certainly have shaken up.
Elaborate as far as what goes in as far as for a cross-country runner, just as far as getting yourself physically, but also you mentioned earlier as far as mentally ready when it comes to not only an event like the GSC Championship, but really when it comes to in the broader sense, a cross-country season.
Yeah, so, cross-country, while the actual racing season starts in the fall, the championships are won in the summertime often. The summertime is so big for athletes. They're putting in mileage. They're putting in work. You cannot limit yourself to only training the few months of the racing season. You've got to toe the line in September or so and be ready to rock and roll. So that preparation, these athletes have done hundreds or thousands of miles, depending on how their coaches have structured their training. They've put in the work. They're here today, and it's a good day to run fast.
So Lee University leading the GSC Women's Championship about 2/3 of the way through this 5K championship. And Lee University's best time so far this season as a team was 17 minutes, 27 and a half seconds. Earlier this season, in fact, they closed out September with that time at the Live in the Lou. As we take a look at some of the other participants in this Gulf South Conference Championship. And right now, as we've taking a look as far as the top 10, Lee University dominating the individual standings so far in the top 10. Still, the men's 8K to come, and also the award ceremony here in Huntsville.
Absolutely. Looks like our leader has gotten on the other side of that big hill. As you can see, the camera kind of looks up here. So she's on the top, about to get a big boost on the downhill side. You know, they're in the last K here. This is the final push. They're coming down this big hill. They're going to pick back up some momentum. I think we're going to see a pretty big battle for those second, third, fourth place positions. While Lee may have the individual title at the moment in the bag, I think those individual spots, that's what people are going to be fighting for. They're going to be fighting for those all-conference finishes.
And Aria Hawkins maintaining her lead individually as we're coming down the home stretch, and a good crowd here at John Hunt Park. In fact, of course, when the race starts to come to the conclusion, you see the fans wanting to get their spots at the finish line, and now we see more of the spectators getting ready for the first finishers to cross the finish line.
Absolutely. So here are the 3 to go. Now our leader, she's coming up to about 400 meters to go. Right in this point, it's roughly a quarter mile left, maybe a little more. But you can see they're all coming down this big hill. They've picked up momentum. A lot of space in between these first 3 individuals, but it looks like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, that pack right there, we may see some pretty wild kicks to move up those final positions in this final straightaway.
And tell you what, we talked about as far as Lee setting a standard, and it looks as if they may be even exceeding that standard today. As we're coming down the home stretch as far as our first wave of finishers, Aria Hawkins has basically led wire to wire individually, and you can tell she has not let up so far in this 5K championship.
Yeah, it looks like she's picking up now, and you see fans moving to get those positions in this last straightaway. This last straightaway is deceivingly long. Athletes, they'll turn the corner and they'll see the big finish line, and they start the kick, but little they know that's a solid 30, 40 seconds of sprinting.
Oh, look at Aria Hawkins go as she sees the finish line tape and about ready to break right on through the finish line. Here comes Hawkins. Plenty of room to spare as Aria Hawkins, your individual GSC Women's Champion for 2023.
Looks like that was about 17:10 or so. Very fast time here this morning.
Which would be unofficially her best time of the season.
Mm-hmm. It's like Mississippi College in second.
Now that is as far as the individuals. As there you see Lauren Wallace indeed from Mississippi College finishing second. We'll see more of the individuals cross the finish line. And Lee University piling up those athletes in the top 5. And even in the top 10, take a look at that, Hunter. 4 of the top 5 finishers from Lee University.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, talk about dominance at the conference level. You can't get much better than that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the third Saturday in October, and we all know what that means around the state of Alabama and around the South this time of the year as far as 2 traditional Division I college football programs. But you look at this Lee University, especially on the women's side, their cross-country program, they're certainly, as far as the Division II scene, right up there as far as the elite when it comes to the cross-country scene.
Absolutely. Looks like we've got right here at the finish, our first UAH runners come in. Emily McMurray finishing 6th place. That's about where she was at that 2K mark. So holding that position, big deal for Emily. Great race for her.
More participants coming across the finish line, being met by GSC Commissioner Matt Wilson. 4 of the top 5 finishers from Lee University, and also 6 of the top 10 overall.
Absolutely. And here we see these athletes, they're kicking it in. This is, this is the last stretch especially for these the seniors in the field. This could be their last 5K, their last conference meet. They're wanting to leave it all on the line. You don't want to finish on empty, but you also don't want to blow up with 200 to go. You want to finish right here, complete the race, and it looks like that's just what they're doing.
A good solid race so far as the times that we're seeing.
And looking at our team results, it looks like now these are unofficial, but I imagine they'll be ratified fairly quickly. Lee did capture the team title with a total of 21 points. Extremely impressive. Mississippi College in second, UAH in third, and Union currently in fourth. So this has been quite the team race.
Now we're starting to see the middle and the back end finishers start to come to the finish line. And especially when you can, no matter whether you're first or the last one to cross the finish line, it's always an accomplishment as far as being able to at least complete the race and feel like that you did your best in a championship situation.
Absolutely. The goal here at conference, man, it is to run fast, to capture PRs, to give it your all. And looking here, in the shoot area, we've got athletes. They're bent over, they're out of breath. They have ran extremely hard these last 5 kilometers, and it goes by quick. Speaking from experience, that first, you look back and it's over so quickly. And you look back and it's just joyous memories. You don't remember any of the pain. And that's the fun part.
Well, they'll certainly remember as far as this 2023 championship. And it looks as if Lee University will take home another GSC championship. 4 of the top 5 individual finishers. As we see the back end of the GSC Women's Championship field. Aria Hawkins winning the individual title here in Huntsville, besting her time earlier this year of 17 minutes 27 and a half. Back at the Live in the Lou on September the 29th.
Yeah, some impressive team races. It's just exciting to see athletes pack up. They've been training with their teammates all season long, and you wanna pull them with you to the finish line. You're here. You're racing for that university on your chest. You're racing for yourself and the training you've done, and it's just it's exciting to see. I'm happy, like all the hard work they've put forth. It really comes to fruition on days like this.
About 22 and a half minutes for some of our other participants. So got another couple of athletes about to cross the finish line. Still the men's cross-country championship and the awards ceremony to come. As we're getting toward the final participants in the GSC Women's Championships across the finish line. I believe all of the participants last year down at Montevallo for the women's were able to finish within about 28 minutes or so. A gorgeous morning on the 3rd Saturday, October here in North Alabama. Most of the field has already, it appears, been able to make their way across the finish line. And there you see some of the men's participants ready, or at least getting themselves ready for the 8K championship, scheduled for sometime around 9:30.
Absolutely. For a lot of these teams, these warm-ups have already started. They're getting warm. It's a little bit of a cool morning here, so you don't want to toe the line and have cold muscles. You almost want to be a little bit of sweating. Make sure you're good and warmed up and ready to go.
Here's the UWA Tigers out of Livingston, Alabama. As we see some of the back chunk of women's participants getting ready to make their way to the finish line. The Lee University Flames looks as if that they'll take home another GSC team championship.
Absolutely. And, talking about years past, the domination we've seen from Lee, Coach Morgan there at Lee, he's really done something special with that women's program. It's been time and time again they've been a powerhouse, not just at the Gulf South level, but even at the national level. So it's been exciting to see that dynasty grow and change over time, and I'm excited to see how they finish at nationals this year.
Well, I was about to say, when you look at Lee University, you got to figure that they may be a favorite, one of the favorites at least, when it comes to the NCAA championships in about a month.
Absolutely. Following the national coaches rankings poll, they started this season about 12th, 8th or so in that mid, top 10 in the country. But since then, they've progressed all the way to 5th in their rankings. So, they're going to have a real chance to do some crazy things there at the national level, especially the consistency of the runners they've had. I'm really excited to see how Gulf South they could do something. We could be an advancing conference at that national level, especially on that women's side. So I'm excited to see that. I think they'll go to regionals here in 2 weeks. Believe that's at Montevallo this year. Montevallo's actually hosting it, so a very familiar course to those Lee Flames. I know they've raced at Montevallo a decent amount, so regionals, nationals, they're going places, and it's going to be a good year for them.
Well, something I always remember about the Gulf South Conference is when Will Hall was coaching football along with Malcolm Butler and Seth Roberts and some really good UWA football teams a decade ago. I always remember Coach Will Hall, as far as when I was doing play-by-play of their football program, in our pregame discussions, him referring to the Gulf South Conference, and it's a wide view, especially among the Gulf South Conference coaches, as far as the GSC being the Division II equivalent of the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. As we get ready for regionals, we've got several teams, especially on the women's side here, that they're going to be in the running to make it to that national championship. And you said that national championship was where?
Joplin, Missouri.
Joplin. So yeah, I think we could send numerous teams on both the women and men's side to that national championship meet. That's the one of all of them. That's the one that matters. This is where the fastest teams in the country they send their best, and oftentimes their best have their best days there. So it's one thing to show up to a race and have an okay day, and it's another thing to show up to a race and it's 110%, and that's the kind of environment those national championships they offer.
Well, it looks as if that most of the participants have been able to get across the finish line here at John Hunt Park here in Huntsville, and there you see some of the other participants that have been able to reach the finish line. So you're looking at least almost the first 60 that have been able to cross.
Yeah, and talking about this, these women's teams, where do they go from here? So in 2 weeks, we've mentioned we've got that regional meet up at Montevallo, down at Montevallo. Lee is also the favorite there as well. Mississippi College is currently ranked 3rd, UAH currently 7th, Union is currently 9th, and West Florida is currently 10th. So top 3 teams, so what's going to make it, make that advancement to the national championship. And I think UAH and Union, they may show up and have really good days. They're going to be familiar courses to them. I think we could see some magic happen, especially on the individual side too. There is a pack of individuals outside those teams that qualify that will be able to attend the national championship as individuals, and I think we're going to be sending some folks.
About the 29-minute mark, looks as if there's about a couple of more of our racers that have yet to cross the finish line, but I think for the most part that almost the entire field has been able to finish. fact, there you see 3 more. And I think this may be our final participants that we have yet to cross the finish line.
Yeah, so, it's now about 9 o'clock. Shortly, we'll start seeing the start line get back populated with the men's team. The men will have a little bit of a longer race. They'll be running 8K. The strategies between the 5K and the 8K are a bit different. You have to be a little bit more conservative in that first bit for an 8K. You can't, run out, lights out. So, those are the men in this race. They're getting mentally ready for that. They've got 3 extra K, and what that's going to look like actually here is we're going to do one smaller loop. Instead of running directly to the hill after 2 miles, we'll do one smaller loop. In a minute, we can see if we can pull that map back up, show the 8K course. But they'll actually come back through the starting line area after their first loop. So it will look a little bit different, but the athletes know that they've been running 8K all year, so they'll be ready for it.
So we got a couple of UWA Tigers, as it looks like Zemina Q as well as Marianne Logston approaching the finish line. And looks as if the final 3 participants have the finish line in sight. So still the men's cross-country championship to come, scheduled for a 9:30 start, so about 30 minutes or so away. And then following the men's conclusion of the men's championship, we'll have our award ceremony here at John Hunt Park.
Yeah, and we see here, I kind of mentioned earlier, this straightaway is deceivingly long. So here we are looking at that last 200 or so meters out. Well, that's a long way for a straightaway. You'll have athletes hit that final stretch, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm here. This is it." And little they know, it's a long way. So as they start that kick, as they push that last 100, 200 meters, they want to finish on empty, and they've got a great chance to do that with such a long straightaway. And the spectators too. You enter this chute, and you'll have people on both sides. They're clapping, they're cheering. The volume is so loud from the audience and the fans. So that really excites you as you push through this last little bit.
And so we got one more competitor about to cross the finish line here in the Women's GSC Championship. Lee University taking home both the individual and the team championship here in Huntsville, as that should, I believe, conclude our Women's Championship. Or, I beg your pardon, there's still a couple more participants, at least, still out on the course. Looks like Lolita Hukasian still yet to finish for UWA. And in fact, I think we just got confirmation that the last 2 racers that we saw are indeed the final 2.
Yep.
In fact, I think we are seeing the final participant and kind of the caboose as far as this women's championship.
Absolutely. That gator comes through in the back. It makes sure that anyone who DNF'd did not finish, that they received medical attention if they need it. It's a extra check in the box as we run cross country. Sometimes there's athletes you can't see. They're back behind trees or behind hills. And that final gator, just make sure everyone makes it safely back.
So UWA's Hukasian about to basically walk her way to the finish line. Looks as if she'll probably get in at least at a time a little bit above 34 minutes. So at least individually for this GSC Women's Championship, Aria Hawkins taking the individual title for the Lee University Flames. 4 of the top 5 individual finishers coming from Lee University.
Yep, and looks like according to our live results, our second place athlete, Lauren Wallace of Mississippi College, she was not indicated that 2K split, so she could have moved up a good bit in that field. She may have had a really strong last 3K, I'm not even seeing her in this top times list, so she could have came out. We talk about anything can happen here at John Hunt. She may have just had the race of her life.
Oh, absolutely, and this is the time of the year that you want to have one of your career best races, as the GSC Women's Championship has officially come to an end for 2023. So the Lee University Flames pick up another GSC championship, their 7th in a row, continuing their dynasty as far as elite cross-country programs in Division II here in the South. So still to come, the men's cross-country championship, as we're 25 minutes away from what should be a wide open field as far as the men's competition here in Huntsville. Also the awards ceremony to concludes things here in Huntsville. So we'll go ahead and step aside here. We'll be back in about 25 minutes for the men's cross-country championship here at the GSC Championships at John Hunt Park in Huntsville.